Just before we get fully started in this review, just want to welcome everybody to the video. This is a Last of Us review for the PS4, so it's the remastered version. I hope you've played it by now, because it's what, 7-8 year old nearly, so this will be a spoiler heavy review where I will be going in depth, deep down dive into The Last of Us. You have been warned.
Jimmy! Jimmy, just stay back! Jimmy, I am warning you! Go!
You shot him.
Sarah.
I saw him this morning.
Listen to me. There is something bad going on. And we have got to get out of here. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Tell me, come on. Come on.
In a world where the mushroom people have taken over the earth, and they're all very, very hungry, where hobos have become smugglers in a dark, dark future. I don't know how far into the future this is, about 20, 30 years, something like that, something stupid like that, aye. And where a smell that would linger off of a person's ass would bring a tear to the eye and burn up all the nostril hairs, they would singe like fuck. And that is basically, that's The Last of Us review over. Of course I'm only joking, you don't get off that lightly. Not even half that lightly. All joking aside, I think this is a fucking wonderful game. I'll stop with the stupid voices. I know that annoys some of you, so let's just do more silly voices, shall we? The Last of Us is what I would liken to T2 or The Dark Knight or any other such cinematic masterpieces. It is a video game cinematic masterpiece. People have likened it to the video movie game type thing because it's so cinematic. That's why I think making a TV series about The Last of Us is, you know, fucking pointless, because it's never going to match what's come before it. Not in a million years. Ellie is going to be played by somebody else, and I'm going to be sitting there the whole time going, that's no Ellie, that's some other dick playing the part, and I don't like it. Unless they get Ellen Page to play the part, they quite clearly modelled that whole character off of her persona. Sounds like her, looks like her. Aye, you're not going to convince me otherwise. So where will we start? Start with the atmosphere in The Last of Us, because it's you could fucking cut it out the air with a knife and put it on a piece, and a piece is a sandwich to you non-Scots, okay? So it's heavy as buck or duck. Heavier than, say, a McDonald's restaurant in the middle of America full of obese people. That's how heavy this is. I mean, we're talking like extraordinarily heavy. I'd actually liken the atmosphere to such games as like the Metro series, if you've ever played those. If you haven't, please do not miss out and go play those games right away. I mean, play Last of Us first, then play them, and I will cover them in a future video. Probably not too distant future, actually. Aye, so it's right there with the atmosphere. I mean, it's nailed it. I just hope the sequel is just as heavy, if not heavier. God, if it gets any heavier, I'll not be able to bloody well breathe. So the game follows the exploits and adventures of one Joel. I don't know his second name actually, I never even thought of that until now. So you get Joel, then you get Tess, and Ellie as the cargo, the human. So Joel's basically a human trafficker at this point, right? But he's trafficking the cure for the mushroom disease. Don't know how you cure that. A mushroom disease, you think? Doesn't matter. Quadriceps, I think it's called. Which is actually a real life disease, but it's typically found in ants. And what'll happen is, yeah, enough of the fucking science lesson, okay? Let's just get on with it. What was I going to talk about? The characters. The characters are brilliant in this game, right? They're all snarky bastards. They're all grumpy, and they all look like they smell. In fact, I think they should get a mod going and have like a sort of vapor trail off all these bastards. So if you can just imagine Joel as a smelly Han Solo, honking hunter. Well, he used to be a hunter. Hunter's a faction of bad guys. They basically, well, they hunt, and they're quite brutal. And this game is just full of brutal imagery, like fucking hell, like Jesus. Can things get any more disgusting? So Tess dies early on in the game, and I was kind of irritated with that because I actually liked her character. She was a pain in the arse, but at least she had some balls, you know. More than Joel. Joel's like, oh, I don't know about doing this. She's like, shut up and do it. And he's like, right, okay then. Then it turns out she gets bit, and she's like, well, that's me, gubbed. And he's like, ah, yeah, didn't you? and they just leave her. And the police catch up with her and shoot her. Police brutality. Well, I say police are just militia. They just dress up like the police because they're in blue and black, right? So they show up, and then you smash them to fuck. Stab them, shoot them, choke them, burn them alive, blow them up with bombs. You name it, you can do it. You can battle them over the head with poles and pikes and fucking big 2x4 chunks of wood. And it's just mental, right? It's just mental. So Joel and Ellie go on the run, and they meet up with one of Joel's old pals called Bill, although I say pals, you could have forgiven them for being fucking enemies. Bill's a grumpy old bastard. His partner fucking ditched him because he thought he was a cunt. And this is where Ellie's character starts to shine a lot more than before, because she starts to argue with this guy. He basically calls him a fat bastard. Fat, perverted, greedy, lazy bastard who stinks. And she steals one of his nudie books. Now, Bill's gay, so why does he get nudie books with women in it? I don't get it. I suppose any port in the storm, really, yeah? Any porthole in the storm? Jesus Christ. Look, I had to say it, right? I fucking had to. Let's move on. Another thing that The Last of Us nails that very few games do is the feeling of part of a larger world when it's a linear title. There's very, very limited exploration. You will get a wee bit, but it's really not much. You'll get maybe if you're in a street, you'll get a wee alley to look about and maybe a couple of deserted shops. The first big game I remember making me feel like that was Half-Life 2, and the first Halo, and the Metro games. They're all linear, and they all make you feel like you're part of a gigantic world. It's just you can see off into the distance and fucking, like, I could go there, but you can't, annoyingly. Or maybe it's not annoying, maybe if it was open world it would lose something in translation. And it's not a short game either. About 18 hours, maybe 20. Depending on difficulty, how many times you die, how much fucking around you do, and I do plenty of that. Because there's collectibles, you get Firefly pendants, you get comic books, you get journal entries, all sorts of notes, you'll find safe combinations, and you even have optional audio, like interactions with the characters. You'll stop, and a wee speech bubble will appear over a character's head, and you press triangle, and you'll have a wee bit of conversation, like, oh, what's that? It's an ice cream van. What the fuck's an ice cream van? It's like something that delivered ice cream. Your ass.
What is this?
Oh, this is an ice cream truck.
An ice cream truck?
Yeah, Henry told me about these. They sell ice cream out of the truck.
What? No way. Joel?
That's true. This thing would drive around and play real loud, creepy music, and kids would come running out to buy ice cream.
You're totally fucking with me.
Serious.
Man, you lived in a strange time.
Told you so.
That is an actual conversation. Goes slightly differently, of course. Less of the Scottishness and more of the Americanisms. Whatever, dude. Christ, that sounded like Bart Simpson there, didn't it? Bart the Fart Simpson. The game's also chock for upgrading and tinkering and all that pish. Find guns, don't buy them, you find all of them laying about the world, stewing about the world. Bows and arrows, shotguns, pistols, magnums, rifles, flamethrowers, you name it. But no grenade launcher or no rocket launcher. That's really disappointing, actually. Fuck's sake, game. That's it, 0 out of 10. Put it in the bin, delete, uninstall, fucking set it on fire. So you get to upgrade all these weapons, right? Which is kind of standard fare now for any game of its type. You also get throwable things like Molotovs and... Aye, that's about all I use is the Molotovs and the fucking pipe bomb things that get wee bits of scissors sticking out them. They're quite funny when you throw them at something and it sticks in them and they're like, well fuck, boom, dead. Enemies, what enemies have you got? You get like, infected. Mad bastards that run about chanting, fucking... You punch them to death. Clickers, the minute they get a hold of you, unless you've got the right tools and the right skills, they will just kill you in one hit. So to get away from a clicker, you need to have a shiv, and you need to have the ability to use the shiv on the clicker if it grabs you. And if you upgrade that a second time, right, the shiv doesn't break, so I just let every clicker grab us and then stab. Grab, stab, grab and stab. Belter, keeping that one handy. I'm coming with you at the grab and stab! The melee weapons you find round about the place, You can also upgrade them if you've got the appropriate, you know, utensils. You can put scissors on the end of them and it'll kill any enemy, apart from a bloater. I've never got close enough to a bloater to actually try it, so... bloaters are a pain in the hole. They throw, like, spore sacks at you and... No. If it's the rule of the game that the minute you breathe in spores you're dead, how can you... It'll damage you if you're in the spore cloud, but you'll not die. I don't get that. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on? Here you mate, you're throwing your sacks at me. Then you can throw a Molotov at them and watch them burn to death. It's quite fun. A lot of running in this game and a lot of big set piece moments where you're got a sniper rifle or you're hanging upside down and you're shooting things in the heat, or you're trying to shoot things in the heat. Now we need to remember here that Joel is just a prick and he's not been trained to fire a gun as far as I know, because after the bit at the start of the game, which I'll kind of leave as a wee surprise for you, right? It skips 20 years later and it just looks like he's woke up after a 3-day bender. We'll say a 3-day bender. So I don't know if someone's trained him if he can fire a gun, but he's not a fucking crack shot. He's an old man. Must have been about 30 when The Last of Us started, and then it skips ahead 20 years, so he's in his 50s. So he's a bit tired. You know, they don't have cod liver oil in those days. No antidepressants, no anti-inflammatories, so he's fucked. The amount of running about he's done, I'm surprised he's no dead. That'll be a nice surprise for the next game. See how long the old bastard lasts. 2.5 seconds. He'll pop a hip, fall over and die. I like the way the chapters in this game are set out. It goes through the season, so it starts off in spring, goes to summer, autumn, winter, and then spring again, which is pretty cool. So you get to see a wee bit of... It just gives the whole game a wee bit of a diversity in its locales, so it's not all the same. Because you're in the Midwest, I think. I actually don't know where the game's set. I want to say it's set in Chicago, then you might go east. Because I say I don't know, but it's just neat. It's neat, right? Soundtrack's amazing and all. Should have talked about the soundtrack earlier on in the video, but as long as it's there, I don't bother too much. And again, it's slow, melodic, apocalyptic sounds. It's none of your fucking band pish. It's just wonderful, and it's actually kind of relaxing in a strange way. It really reminds me of the soundtrack from Metro. I'll bring this up again. Metro, yes. I do have a digital copy of the soundtrack on my PS3, but that annoys me because it's kind of stuck in the PS3. There'll probably be a way to take it off and whole load of jiggery pokery, but I might see if I can get the CD at some point, because it'll be a nice thing to have in the old collection. So this is just a really well made game. There's no way two ways about it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, you're never going to take that away from me. Ever! Brilliantly made game. Sometimes it's had anxiety inducing when you're surrounded by the mushroom undead. Mushroom head undead. Mate, they could have got the band Mushroomhead to do fucking songs for this, or like some sort of tunes, like the way Marilyn Manson did for the Resident Evil movie. That'd have been good. At least it would have fit the theme of mushroom zombies. Mushroomhead. No, I'll never touch another mushroom again. I don't even like mushrooms. It's fucking tasteless shite. This game did get DLC called Left Behind, and I'll do a separate review for that. I wanted to do this because I think I should have done this ages ago, actually. And because the sequel's out in less than a week now, just over a few days. Amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed making it. I'm a wee bit too warm, a bit grumpy, a bit tired, wee bit low energy again, but other than that, stoked and stuff. I'll see you all in the next one. Be good to each other and yourself, because remember, tomorrow we may all be dead. Bye. Adios. Well troops, welcome to another video, and this is a review of the DLC that came out for The Last of Us back in the day in the PS3. Now I never played the PS3 version, I got it when it came out in PS4 because it came out as one big package, one big remastered package. Now this is like a demo almost. I mean, I've played demos that last about as long as this DLC. It's about 2 hours long, and here is one of the problems with it. I think they'd have been better off packaging this in with the actual main game and making it part of the main game, because it's over in a blink of an eye. Then it's gone like a thief in the night. So in this DLC, you go as Ellie again. Well, actually, if they'd incorporated this into the full game, the whole time you control Ellie would be a hell of a lot longer, because it leads directly into a mission, or the part of the game that's set directly after college, after Joel gets impaled on that spiky thing. I think it was like some sort of railing or a pipe or jaggy bit of metal, I don't know, but he gets stabbed fuckity, so aye, and then you take over as Ellie and you go hunting, and then you meet these creepy guys in the game, and they're cannibals, and you have to slaughter the entire town. It's wonderful stuff. But this is set before that, and then you're looking for penicillin for Joel, because obviously a big cut like that in an apocalyptic event, it's going to get infected very easily. I mean, you'd fart on it and it'd get infected, so you need to go hunting around wee pharmacies and finding penicillin, and you eventually find your penicillin, and then the game's over. And it's like, what in the fuck? But during those times, you'll have wee flashbacks to when Ellie snuck out of her house and went with her pal Riley, who turns out to be her girlfriend, so Ellie turns out to be a lesbian, and so does Riley. And this is where Ellie gets bitten. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I would say it's a spoiler, but it's not really, because at this point in the time, you should know you've finished the main game, because this came out after. And even if you are playing it for the first time, you find out Ellie's bitten and immune to the virus very early on. Very, very early on, the first couple of hours of the game, in fact. But it's a nice wee change of pace, this game. It's got quite a hopeful atmosphere about it through most of the DLC, other than when you're looking for medicine for Joe, because it's really bleak in those times. And you'll fight your clickers and your stalkers, I believe they're called, which they are in the main game, but they're not as many. And yes, they are a rip-roaring pain in the hole.
Want some?
Sure.
Watch out, that's not beer.
Please. Oh! Oh my god! Oh, here. It's disgusting.
Told you.
There's quite a lot of environmental puzzles in this, a lot more than I was expecting. And I like the environmental puzzles. And it doesn't feel like we're oversaturated with them or anything like that, which is quite nice. It's just dealing with the clickers and the infected as a 14-year-old can be a little tricky, because she doesn't have the same, well, strength or agility as a fully grown adult, male or female. So yes, it can be odd. Very odd. She can shoot really well though. Well, she can shoot better when I'm no controlling her, that's for sure. But better off letting the game play itself. Then when you're in the flashback scenes going through them all for the first time, it's quite nice. It's almost got like an adventure game feel to it. It's just a lovely wee change of pace. You've got a lot of dialogue options to find, you've got secrets to find. You get to go into a Halloween shop and put on all the different masks, and Riley all scary and blah and all that shit.
You dick! That's 2 times today!
And it'll cut back and forth like that through the entire DLC. So other things you'll do in the flashbacks is you like go in a photo booth, ride a carousel, have a water gun fight, which I always seem to lose because I'm pish. You throw bricks at car windows, whoever smashes out all the windows first wins. It's good, it's good fun, but it's just over in the blink of an eye, and then you're back in the present, and it's like, oh Jesus, and you can feel the weight of this wee mission she's got. It's pretty fucking weighty. It's really bleak, and I oh my god, I do love that. I like my post-apocalyptic games to feel that level of apocalypticness and weight, and just the sense that the world has died and you are scavenging its husk like a human hyena. I hate those things because they're ugly bastards, but you get the point. You get the point. It can't be too hopeful. The world's just fucking ended and everybody's turned into these mushroom zombies. It's not going to be all happy and it's like, if you're expecting that, go play something else like Viva Pinata, you prick. There are also instances in the present part of the game where you can get the infected to fight bandits, and that happens a few times, which I actually thought was really funny because you just hear them getting slaughtered. These bandits are shite. I don't know how they've survived so long, because there's like maybe 2 or 3 infected and there's like 20 of them, and they get absolutely slaughtered. It's like, how the fuck did you survive that long? And the AI, sometimes it's a bit, well, sometimes it's really crap. I had a guy, I was standing on a stair, fucking priming my bow and arrow ready to pop some dickhead in the head, and then this guy, bandit guy, bad guy, not friendly, runs right past me and just ignores me. I'm like, hey? So I turn around and I plug him in the back, silently, poof, and then I turn around and I get his friend in the head, which is amazing. But the AI is really, really, really dumb. I don't mind when the infected AI are dumb, because they don't have the higher cognitive thought processes that we do, and I expect people that have survived this long, 20 years in an apocalyptic society or world, I expect them to be a wee bit smarter, no? But in conclusion, it's an alright DLC. I don't actually recommend spending extra money on it because it's so short. It is a couple of hours, couldn't believe it, my god. It's got some great moments in it though, and it's just a shame that it didn't last long, or they didn't use more of those excellent moments in the main game. And I know it came after, but it's just a shame. So we'll see what happens with Last of Us 2. And thanks for watching. Adios!
There she is!
Well, welcome back to another video, folks. I hope you're all doing well. This will be my review for The Last of Us Part 2. And I've debated long and hard with myself on what I want to say in this review. Do I go into the controversies that led up to this game's release? Do I go into the controversies that are surrounding this game's release after it's come out? I think I'm probably going to do just that. I'm going to talk about everything. Controversy, prior and post-release. And it's a lot. First off, you have to ask yourself the question, are you allowed to like this game? Are you allowed to have a positive opinion on The Last of Us 2? Because it seems that if you do, you must be some kind of cuck, soy boy, pussy fart type deal, and if you don't, you're some kind of homophobic bigot that can't stand to see a woman and a gay woman in the lead of a video game. What this has to do with the actual game itself and the story, nothing at all. But this is the world we live in now, where opinions can be a social death sentence, if you will. Maybe a wee bit extreme in that, but they can see you ostracised from maybe a group of friends if you don't quite line up in an ideological sense. But that's just insanity. There's no way you're going to agree on everything with everybody. So what? You like something that somebody else doesn't make you evil, or a bigot, or a homophobe, or this or that, the next thing. I do realise there's caveats and exceptions to that. Like, if you don't like The Last of Us 2 just because Ellie's gay, you might want to take a wee look at yourself and think, what's the actual problem? Have you got a problem with it maybe being an agenda being driven, or do you just have a problem with gay folk being in charge, or in a lead, or whatever? And that can go for anything, a black protagonist, a white protagonist, whatever. You're going to get hate and racist remarks no matter which group of people you go to, because someone's always going to hate the fact that somebody else that doesn't represent them is in charge. Now, I know representation is important to some people, really not that important to me. All I ask is that the game is written well, the characters are well realised, and I know something about their motivations and why they're doing what they're doing. I don't care about their sexual orientation, I don't care if they're black, white, man, woman, don't care. It's not important when it comes to a fictional setting anyway. There may be some historical, things out there that it will be important in that context, but The Last of Us 2 isn't a historical game. It's piece fiction set in a post-apocalyptic world with mushroom zombies, so let's try and get a wee bit of perspective. And so I've been fighting with myself whether I'm allowed to like this game or not, so I'm going to take 5 minutes now, and I'm going to go down to my local SJW council, and I'm then going to go to my local anti-SJW council, and ironically enough, they're right across the street from each other, so I need to see how much I can like it and how much I can dislike it. I'll see what I'm allowed to like and what I'm not allowed to like, I'm just fucking around here, guys. I'm having a wee bit of a laugh, because I think we need that, and I'm finding Twitter quite a lot these days. It's like, Jesus, people need to just relax. If you don't like something, fine, just don't buy it. Don't support it. It's the best way you can voice your grievances with anyone, is just don't give them the money. If you're going to give them the money, then say, oh, I hate this, blah, blah, blah. You're like, well, you've already given them your cash. I wouldn't give a shit if you went and bought something. I mean, like, I wrote a book and you went and bought it, and then you came up roaring up to me and said, fucking hate this, buy the biggest load of piss under the sun. And then I'll ask, well, did you buy it? And you're like, aye. Well, thanks for the money, and walk off. You know, say at that point, not interested. Especially if you're going to be a prick about it. If you're going to sit there and say, oh, look, Craggs, I've read your book and I have a few issues. Would you mind having a civilised discussion? Yes, why not? We'll see what we can do. Doesn't mean I'm going to change anything, because ultimately, if you're going to create something, I create it for myself, then everybody else second. So as long as I'm happy with it, that's the way it is. And I can't help but feel this is a Star Wars situation, where it's not exactly what I wanted from the sequels, therefore it's bad. The writing isn't the greatest, fair enough, but I can't help but feel this is what's in people's minds. It's not exactly what I wanted. I wanted X, Y, and Z. I did not get X, Y, and Z, therefore X product is terrible, it's trash, it's nonsense, it should burn in hell, and it's... Jesus, guys. If you want something that badly to be in a certain way, go and write something, go and create something, go and do something. Peace. Now, when The Last of Us 2 leaks dropped, I first went, okay, I ignored them for the most part. Then I just kept hearing negative upon negative upon negative, and I thought, look, my curiosity is getting the better of me here. What the fuck are they all upset about? And I read them and, oh, aye, yeah, geez, that's not the best, is it? And I'm like, fucking hell, I'm like, oh, geez, aye, and it's like... I was unsure if I thought, am I going to cancel this or no? I don't know. I thought, do you know what? No, don't cancel it yet. See what you think. I think the best way to form an opinion about anything is to experience it for yourself. So I did that, and I've played it a great deal. I'm really, really enjoying it. Spoilers. Don't worry, I'm not going to rib it on too much about this. I just wanted to get this off my chest, because it's pissing me off. Look, I didn't return to the world of The Last of Us for its great writing. Look, the story in the first game is basic. It's not saying it's bad, it's just basic. It's like Joel, smuggler, smuggles Ellie out of a quarantine zone to take her across country for a possible cure. That's your story. It's as basic as it can get. But what drew people into the world of The Last of Us is the characters, is the atmosphere, is the zombies, the undead, the tension you get from some of these gameplay moments. And that's all back in The Last of Us 2, so I'm having a hard time, other than the writing, seeing what's really wrong with this game. And again, I don't think the writing's absolutely terrible, I just think it's a bit on the basic side, and it's a bit convenient at moments. But it's a vehicle for the journey, and unless it's like a fucking beat down car that's full of holes and you're getting wet because the sunroof is stuck open or some shit like that, fair enough. But right now I'm just chilling in a nice comfortable motor with heated seats, and I'm quite enjoying it. So fucking hell. Right, I think I'm going to stop this here, and I think we'll get on with the review. This has been one hell of an intro, by the way, so I appreciate you sticking through it if you have. Right, let's get on with the damn review now, eh?
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself.
As I begin the review portion of this video, I am going to offer the warning that there are spoilers ahead. I will be talking about the game in depth with massive story spoilers, okay? This will be your first and only warning. So the game begins with a nice wee flashback to the first game to let you know that Joel and his brother have been discussing what went down with the Fireflies and the cure and what happened to Ellie, and it paints Joel in less than an endearing light. Even his brother's like, look, I wouldn't have done any different, but fucking hell, mate, you went nuts on those guys. And then you get a beautiful, serene ride back to Jackson, which is the home base. It's quite a big home base. It's got massive walls. I mean, I remember the last time we saw Tommy, he was living in what was it, a dam, a hydroelectric dam. So that's really expanded since then, which is pretty cool. And you get to have a wee walk around this town, just a wee walk. You get to pet a dog, which is a highlight for me. And then couple of things happen, and Ellie wants to get on with the mission at hand, but she's been told by the leader of the town that she needs to speak to this guy called Seth. Don't know what that was all about, but you go and have a word with this guy in a pub and a bar, and there's something quite cringeworthy happens here. I mean, she's like, I don't want to talk to that bigot. I think I can probably guess what happened. He's like, oh, I'm sorry about last night, hen, right? I've been fucking drinking and that. No, he probably didn't like the fact that she was gay, and you're like, well, see, when you're in a post-apocalyptic environment like that, pal, you've got me to worry you, do you know what I mean? And then he hands her some sandwiches, and she's like, I don't want these sandwiches, but the wee town leader woman's like, here, take these fucking sandwiches and fucking like it, you wee cow. Seth says to her, it's steak sandwiches, they're fucking gorgeous, made them myself this morning with my own bare hands. And then Jesse stoats up to her and he's like, what's happening, what's that you've got? And she's like, bigot sandwiches. And I'm like, oh fucking Christ.
Bigot sandwiches.
Smells good.
Luckily there's not been really anything since then in the game, and I'm about 15 to 20 hours deep. Oh, deep. So obviously the worry for the wider gaming community is, are Naughty Dog going to go full SJW in the future? Maybe. You never do know, never can tell, but I'm not going to lose my sleep over it, that's for damn sure. I was also led to believe that this game had like no moments of hope or joy or anything like that, which isn't true. It is a very bleak game, and we'll get into that later. But near the start of the game, it's winter time. You're ready to go out on a mission with your horse. Jesse's like, I'm on get Dina to shift her arse, and you're like, oh Dina, I want to talk to you. Come on, get your arse in gear, we've got a job to do and that, no. And they're talking, and one of the wains scalps Ellie with a snowball. She's like, look, I'm not even playing this game, you wee dick. So Dina gets you to get involved in a wee snowball fight, and it's actually quite good fun. Straight out the ballpark, and already we've got a wee moment of joy or fun, I suppose you could say. And there are other wee moments like that throughout the game, but they are few and far between. But do you know what? It's just a nice wee bit of wee speck of light in the future, no? In this grim, dark, rainy, very rainy game. Then it cuts to a chalet or some kind of house in the woods, covered in snow, and there's a wee fire going, and there's people in there sleeping. I don't recognise any of these people. Turns out it's Abby and her crew. She wakes up for a nightmare. You take control of her. I was like, oh, we're going Abby already. We're only about a half hour into the game, really, at this point. Not shot anything, not killed nothing. Had a snowball fight, and then we're playing as a bad guy. Now, I understand why Naughty Dog went this route, why they actually have you playing as the other side. It's just a better way of building up motivations, and you can see what they're going through as well, because there are no good guys in this world, right? I always remember a nice fancy line for Dawn of the Dead. This is the original Dawn of the Dead, mind. And they're in the helicopter, and they're cutting about, and they're like, oh, we shouldn't have too much trouble here and there. And Peter's like, what do you think we are? I think we're up here taking traffic reports. We're thieves and we're bad guys. That's who we are. That's exactly what we are, and everybody is a bad guy in this world, because everyone is trying to outlive the next person, and the next one after that, and the next encounter after that. So the notion of good guys and bad guys doesn't exist in this world, and I feel maybe they could have pushed that a bit further in the first game. But when you see what Joel does and how many people he fucking kills, right, you know what I mean, he's not a good guy. And even at the point where you get to the city and you're getting chased with a Humvee after the hunters, and Ellie's like, oh, fuck's sake, this is brutal, you just doing things to survive. And Joel's like, well, I was on both sides at one point. So he was a hunter, he was one of the people that would hunt folk down, butcher them and take their stuff. Joel's not a good guy. He's likeable, but he's a prick.
Remember, I don't want to have to shoot you in the face. Oh, that's so sweet.
And as you're playing as Abby, you'll get introduced to the mechanics of the game. So you'll find out you've got a dodge function now, which is bloody handy. Doesn't always work the way I wanted it to, or even if I press the button on time, sometimes I still get scalped in the face with an axe. It's just sometimes the way the cookie crumbles, baby! You've also got a new jump mechanic to, well, jump, but it looks really stupid when you do it, so I do it sparingly or when I really have to. But then again, I was thinking about this the other day, how often in life do I actually jump? Aye, exactly. So don't sweat it. It does look stupid, but it looks stupid in Red Dead as well, okay? So you're on patrol with Ellie and Dina, and you come across infected whatnot, and it's fucking snowing like fuck, so You end up taking refuge in this supermarket full of weed. That's a pretty good deal if you ask me. And then they get down to business. And then you go back to playing as Abby, and then you're getting chased like fuck off a horde of these infected pricks. This bit's brilliant. This is a chase sequence, right? There are a few in this. Sometimes you're running away from things, sometimes you're chasing things. Remember the wee chase sequence in the first game when you're chasing Robert at the start? It's like that, only much bigger, much better. A lot better actually, now that I can't think about it. So you're fucking running about like a nutter and you're trying to avoid these zombies and you're fucking jumping and you're fucking climbing shit. And then you get caught in a fence, and who saves you? Joel and fucking Tommy do. And I was like, Jesus Christ, she was looking for them too. Now, here's the stupidity of the situation, right? This could have happened to anybody. So Joel ends up saving Abby and pulling her arse cheeks right out of the fire. Of course, Abby's only got a name, doesn't know what Joel looks like, so they're running about killing these zombies, and eventually they get to a bit where they can get a wee bit of peace and quiet, and Tommy's like, alright, how you doing hen? My name's Tommy and that's my brother Joel, and she's like, oh aye, fucking bingo, spot on, I must have won the Bastarton lottery in a previous life. And then she pipes up that they can go to this house that her friends are at and it'll be safe and yada yada yada. Now, Joel being the monumental tit that he is, he's been going through this world for like 30 years nearly, right? Butchering cunts, fucking people over, never once thinks to change his name. Because Abby doesn't know what Joel looks like. He could have said, my name's Glenn Pillar. And that would have been the end of the story. I suppose that would have been the end of the story, but nevertheless, change your bloody name. If you're going to butcher hospitals and fucking warehouses and just town full of folk, don't go around with the same name. Alright, I'm Joel. Murdered yous all. What's your name? That's Joel. Well, did you murder that town up there? Aye. Oh well, good. Smack. Stupid bastard. Now, and here we come to one of the harder bits of the game to bear. Not because of how he goes out. I actually think he probably deserves his fate. I'm talking about Joel here, okay? Listen, people think of Joel as this fucking big hero type cat. Oh, he's cool, we like him, he's likeable. But everything that he does, for pretty much the minute his daughter dies in the first game, from there on out, right to the end of The Last of Us, right up to the point of his death, he does for almost entirely selfish reasons. Doesn't he want Ellie? Says we'll need to get rid of her as quickly as we can. We're going to go to the Capitol building, dump her and fucking get out of there. Then Tess gets blootered. Then he's like, well fuck, we're gonna do now, we're gonna take her back. And mate, he's just a fucking wanker now that I think about it, and I'm like, Jesus, it's horrible, but it's everything he does. Selfish. Self. Can't even tell her the truth at the end of the first game about why she's still kicking and what's going on and why all of a sudden they're not at that hospital, and it takes like fucking years for her to finally find out the truth. So I would have liked Joel to go out in a more heroic sense, but for what the character didn't deserve it. There you go, said it. Don't care if you don't like it. Them's the breaks, people. You're going to act like a prick your whole life, do very very little to redeem yourself. You're going to go out like a bitch because you acted like one.
Stupid old man. You don't get to rush this.
So it's a very somber moment after that particular death of a character, a beloved character. But just think about what I said. Think about it. Don't react. Think. Then you get a wee bit where Ellie lays some flowers at his grave and you get to go around his house and just see how he was living at the time. And he was retired, he was getting an old man, must have been, what, late 50s, early 60s by the time he died. I'm just guessing, I don't really know his date of birth. So. And it's just a nice slow moment after such a horrific event. So Dina and Ellie make way for Seattle. Now the people that killed Joel all had patches saying Washington Liberation Front on them. You know, what is it with people fucking signalling in this world where they're from and who they are? And they're fucking folk over left and right. Joel uses his same name that he's used since the day he was fucking kicking and screaming into the world, and these pricks fucking just advertise where they're from. I mean, come on. I know that if they didn't do that, there wouldn't really be a game or at least they need to really restructure the story, because how would you find them? America's a fucking big place, and if you don't know where someone's from, you don't know what way they've went, you're never finding them, so the game would be it would stop the minute it started. But it's just like, that's just really fucking stupid. And when you get to Seattle, the game opens up quite a bit more, and it only opens up for a certain section of Seattle, which does make sense because you know where they are in a broadscape of things, but you don't know exactly where they are, so you need to search around. You need to search around for fuel to open a gate. You read journals and you eventually pinpoint their location. Not before you go through various shops, and you go to a bank, and I found a shotgun in the bank, and you go through the council building and it's full of clickers and fucking infected. It's just really scary shit. It's brilliant. I do love it. And when you get to Seattle, this is when you'll notice just how good the game looks. Now, I would argue that The Last of Us 2 looks better than any of the big reveal games at the PS5 gameplay reveal event a few weeks ago, which is quite funny. And they'll be like, oh, what about Horizon 2? I said, well, Horizon 2 was a CG trailer, that's not how the game's going to look. So yes, this game looks phenomenal. I want no arguments on that, right? Also comes with a photo mode. I was really happy. The last game did, it was very basic. This one's a bit better, it's not the best, but it's still nice that it's there. And I started taking photos the minute I hit Seattle. It's like, oh, look at that, that building looks amazing. Off goes my digital camera, and then I upload them to Twitter for all the world to see, trying to miss spoilers, but I think we all knew the game was set in Seattle, so it's been used in the trailers. I'm using it as a way of taking my photographs. I highly recommend you explore downtown Seattle, because you're going to see some sights. It's just fucking amazing, the amount of work that's went into this. Astonishing. So this is primarily where the game is set, is in Seattle, because you then need to look at certain places and you go about. Now at this point the writing gets a bit squiffly, or it's either that or you just really know the motivations of the characters, and the way they're judging things becomes more clear. Dina finds out she's pregnant, and Ellie's like, fuck's sake, you're pregnant. Dina's like, look, I didn't know, right? I was suspicious, but I didn't actually know. There's no fucking maternity hospital to go visit, or go to a doctor and fucking get a maternity test. Do you know what I mean? And Ellie's like, well, fuck. Dina's like, I didn't want to be a burden, but Ellie's like, fucking you're now, ain't you? And we're like, oh, you fucking wee cow, man. I'd have fucking slapped you there. And I almost get the impression that Ellie's jealous of Jesse and Dina, when they two were together and then they split up and blah, blah, blah. And you get that impression because he just turns really bitchy. You know, like, oh, fuck's sake, because they two can't have a kid together. Genetics, biology, all that shit. And then it's from this point onward, Ellie starts to get a lot more fucking stupid in her judgments. Her judgment really starts to get clouded over by revenge, because you now need to go out on her own because Dina's too sick to travel. And yeah, she just makes a few mistakes. Ends up getting a few firefights and butchers like a whole town worth of people. But Ellie sets out on her own to hunt down Abby and just basically kills a whole bunch of people. And this is where you'll start finding new enemy types and new enemy factions. You'll run into the Seraphites, who are the religious cult that like to hang people up and then gut them. Lovely. Very friendly people. I mean, they put on an amazing show. And you'll run into a new infected type called the Shambler, and it'll squirt fucking acidic spores at you. Now, Ellie is immune to normal spores, but these ones do burn her skin. It is fucking horrific when you get caught in a cloud and die, because you just see all the skin in Ellie's fucking arms cooking. You're like, you bastard! It's fucking horrible, and I died a few times to these pricks, but I molotov them and I just snipe them from a distance with the rifle as long as the level allows, you know. And even though the game does go into a more linear fashion at this point, there's still a lot to explore. There's still a lot of buildings running about. Like, if you come across a building and all the doors are shut, but they've got big pane glass windows, put a brick through the window, you're in. Love that shit. Quite honestly, downtown Seattle reminds me of I Am Legend. The bit where Will Smith's going about in his motor, fucking chasing the deer, and he comes across the lines. That movie was good. And this is, I can see the influences of a few films like The Road and that, to name but 2 films. You get to do your crafting and all that shiza, and you'll get banter between the characters, which can be quite fun. But the game is very bleak. I mean, it's no a fucking pleasure ride. This is a heavy game. Even when you're in combat situations, you're throwing grenades and molotovs, I mean, listen to people burn to death in this game. I'm not kidding. I think I'm going to have PTSD by the time I'm fucking finished. There's a bit where I'm going after somebody's boat, and there's this woman, and I don't know if she misthrows her own grenade or somebody throws it and just fucks up the throw, blows her leg off, and you just hear her fucking rolling about the floor, screaming and crying, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm horrified. I'm like, this isn't fun, but it is. But it's sometimes it'll just hit you, and I've killed dozens of folk up to this point and never batted an eyelid. But for some reason, the screaming and the crying and the shouting out of the names it was maybe a little bit too real. But AI teammates aren't exactly useless either. I've been saved a couple of times. Another thing about the killing of things, right, you have to fight dogs eventually, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to shoot the dogs. I don't want to have to shoot a dog's face off, but I did it, and I've done it about 8 or 9 times now, and I'm like, poor dogs, but at least somebody's not going hungry tonight while these carcasses lying about. That was a bit dark, Craggy boy, what the fuck, mate, Jesus. So as I say, I'm about 10 to 15 hours deep. I actually think it's more than that now. I haven't quite finished the game, but I can pretty much see where it's going tone-wise from here on out. I've got a good idea of what the ending's going to be. I don't know, obviously, but I've got my own ideas. And I'll leave you to percolate on that as well. And I think with how realistic the killing can be, there's probably a moral argument to be made about the human race as a whole. So we just love to butcher each other, and you're like, maybe that's time for us to, you know, put down the... I'm going to get philosophical here and soft, right? Put down your fucking guns and talk. I wish I could do that in this game, but the game doesn't allow that. The minute you're spotted by the enemy faction, you are instantly considered hostile and must be butchered. So as much as blowing people to bits can be a bit shaky, you're left with no choice. You have to. And when you start butchering them, they want revenge, and it's a never-ending cycle of shit. And as for the game not being upbeat enough, there is plenty of moments in this game where you'll feel a bit more hopeful, and that's in the flashback sections with Joel and Ellie. When it goes back, it'll go back 4 years or 2 years or 3 years or what, and you'll do different things. You'll go to like a natural history museum, and you'll see all the dinosaurs, and you can pick up hats and put them on, and it's just moments of pure levity. You need it. This game is hard hitting. I thought Fallout 3 was dark, depressed and bleak until I played this fucker. This has got Fallout 3 beat in every conceivable way. It's just... I love it though. I mean, I can just like fucking... You can swim in that atmosphere. You can swim in it. You can fucking bathe in it. You can sunbathe in it. Well, maybe no sunbathe, but you know what I mean. It's palpable and it's thick like porridge. So the conclusion is, no, I haven't played the whole game, okay? I played 90% of it. I'm probably a few hours out from finishing it, and I am going to beast it over the next few days. Hopefully the ending won't totally change what I think about the game, but I doubt it. I doubt it now. I know what the tone is. I know what they're going for. This game is about hate or cycles of revenge being futile, and they are. Eventually you just butcher each other, and then there's nothing left but blood and sand and dust and shit. So, I love it. I think if you've played The Last of Us, loved The Last of Us, you're going to like this. I don't know how much. Usually sequels don't land the same with me. This one has, thankfully. If you've never played The Last of Us before, pick up the first game. Don't come to this one first, even though it's got the recap at the start. I don't recommend playing a sequel before the one that came before it. It's not even a prequel. It's not structured in that way. So, yeah, I love it, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. Adios. The hills are alive with the sound of Jobby. I'm just going to start this video by saying there are massive spoilers, even though I will say it's talking about the ending in the description and the thumbnail. Just below, there's huge spoilers, don't go any further. Thank you. Recently finished The Last of Us 2, right? Didn't get it in time for the review, but I've finished it now. So now this is the ending discussion. Didn't actually think I'd make a video discussing nothing but the ending to a video game, but everyone seems to fucking hate it, so here We are. So the ending has been quite the divisive issue, the divisive topic, the point of contention amongst the whole game, to be fucking perfectly honest with you. And you know what? You can't turn your head or move your arse in one direction without bumping into a fucking Last of Us video. So I'm just going to add another one into the mix, okay? But I'm going to add a wee bit of positivity. And I do know positivity isn't exactly what everyone wants to hear. People just love it when you rubbish something into the dirt. I kind of feel like that's been done to death, and I'm like, there's like YouTubers I follow, and I'm like, going to stop making Last of Us videos, so I want to have that experience with you guys. I want you to say, like, fuck's sake, Greg, stop making videos with this bloody game. I promise this might be the last one, but you never know. I might have to do a video called In Defence of Abigail Anderson. Wonder if that's Neo's daughter. Oh, Neo! Yeah, ballbag! Get out of here! Your daughter's looking like Hulk Hogan, ripping people's heads off. What's going on? Totally fucked my voice up doing that voice. Oh, Jesus. Neo told me to piss off. He's too busy. I don't know what he's doing, right? He's making another movie of The Matrix. That's what he's too busy doing. Sake. I mean, a video aside, can you believe there's a fourth Matrix movie coming out? Jesus Christ. Can you believe there's a fourth John Wick? After the end of that John Wick 3, I'm like, Neo should be renamed Pancake. Anyway, moving swiftly on to the main topic at hand here, you bunch of something or others. Right, so I'll take this for the point where Abby comes back to the cinema. How does she find out? She finds Ellie's map after Ellie's murdered the last of her friends and her dog. Poor dog. Alice the fucking Alsatian. I think they put up a bit more of a fight, but never mind. Now the dog's got a rough, no pun intended, deal in this game, didn't they? Getting shot and stabbed and blown up and all sorts. So Abby and Lev, who's a wee ex-Scar Seraphite, has found the cinema with Abby, and they're sneaking in and they've snuck in, right, and Tommy's got his back to the open, unlocked door. Why you wouldn't check your perimeter? Why you'd have your lights on, in fact, for that matter, it just fucking baffles me. Look, it's a huge building, there's going to be breakers. Why don't you see the lights at the front? Turn all them off so folk don't know you're there. I don't even live in this world and I can survive better than these pricks. Anyway, so she gets in, she subdues Tommy, and Tommy's like, you're making a big mistake. Hey, I don't know how she's making a big mistake, because she's got you bang to rights, you stupid old bastard. Kicks him in the face, fucking volleys him in the chops, down he goes. Then Ellie and Jesse, what is it? I think his name's Jesse, he is a big fucking Jesse, comes battering through the door, and Abby shoots him dead, and that must have been the luckiest shot in the world. That's like a fucking hole-in-one, that's an eagle, that's no turkey that she got, because he just opened the door and boom, he was dead. You're like, didn't even have time to fucking blink, and he's like, dead out, and fucking Ellie's like, oh, you bastard, and I was like, what do you think was going to happen? You just murdered all our friends, you fucking idiot. The brains of these people sometimes. I love the characters, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, the amount of shock and surprise they go in after they've done some horrible things is just, why are they shocked? And a fight ensues, and Tommy grabs Abby's gun, and what looks like Tommy gets shot dead, but he doesn't. He must have just had a grazed eye or something, I don't know, but he's like, not even got a scar later. He can't walk later on in the game. He's like, she didn't shoot you in the leg, she shot you in the head, but you're crippled for the knee. I don't get it. I know she booted him in the back of the knee, but come on, fuck, she didn't fucking mangle his leg. He's not that weak. She only decked him, for God's sake. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. So then there's a big boss fight, and you and Abby fighting Ellie. This was weird. I thought this felt really strange, but I quite liked it. I liked the little juxtaposition, if you will. But it felt too much like the boss fight in the first game when you're being stalked by David. Only this time you're being stalked by a very grumpy Ellie with a shotgun and a machete and all forms of traps. And I don't know how many times I ran into those traps and just blew myself to bits. Pretty hilarious stuff, because I'm a doughball. So, yada yada yada, moving swiftly on. Abby gets the better of Ellie, breaks one of her arms, punches fuck out here, like fucking punches fuck out. I was like, ooh, how are you still alive after those volleys? Must have like fucking steel jaws in these games. I don't know, right? I'm just fucking surviving. And then Dina breaches in like the brainless bitch that she is and fucking attacks Abby. I mean, come on, Abby's a beefcake. Even in Joel's good days, he'd struggle against her. But she's like, oh no, stop doing that. And comes in with what looks like a butter knife. And then starts stabbing at her. And then Abby's like, what you doing, bitch? Back slap. Boof, out you go, out like a light, and she's away to kill her. And Ellie's like, fucking, don't kill her, she's pregnant, even though you've just killed a pregnant woman. Alright, she did attack you, but what's the difference? But it's Lev that comes in and just goes, Abby, puppy dog eyes, dinna date hen, I'm your conscience, don't forget. Don't forget all the sacrifices you made to save me and my now dead sister. Yara's dead at this point. Who's Yara? Doesn't matter. She's dead. Gone, forgotten, boom, dead, fuck you, over. So, Abby's like, I don't want to see you cooping again in my fucking vicinity, bitch, right? Or I'm going to stomp your ass. And then Swan's off, and then they part their ways on, you know, I wouldn't say amicable grounds, but after a severe beating, you're like, you know what, fuck it. Just let her go. It's not worth it at this point. Then it cuts to Ellie and Dina on a farm, and Dina's had her weigh-in, so we're about a year, I reckon, into the future. Something like that. And they're cutting about the farm, and it's all good, and fucking they take the wee babby to the tractor, and they talk to its wee stuffed toy, and fucking put on a shitey song for it. And then Ellie fucking wrangles the sheep, because she's now fucking some sort of sheep whisperer, and wrangles them onto the barn, but the wee baby sheep, the lamb, gets out, takes the piss out her, runs out the door, knocks away the bucket that was on the door open, and it's starting to get a wee bit stormy here, you know? A wee bit windy. The wind and the rain and all that shit. And then the barn door fucking slams shut, and Ellie has a flashback to Joel being stoned with that fucking golf club, and then he's screaming, Ellie, help me. Ellie, do you know what? You're actually useless, you bastard. No, he doesn't say that, but I like to, yeah, you know. So, and then it cuts back, and Dina's like, you're alright, hen, you're not back in that fucking place. You're at a really more unsafe location, so you should be freaking out, but never mind. And they've got fucking chicken wire protecting them from the eye. Shite. Then Tommy shows up, and he's like, you promised you'd deal with Abby, but I tried, mate. I can't be arsed, but Dina does all the talking for her. Then Ellie gets up in the middle of the fucking night, and is like, I've got to go. I've got to see this through. And you're like, you stupid. Abby couldn't give you a second thought about you daft bastard. And you're like, I can't sleep. It's been a fucking year and you can't sleep. I can't sleep either. What a coincidence. But I'm just mental. Anyway, so then it cuts to Abby, and they're in Santa Barbara because Owen, Abby's now dead ex-boyfriend that she cheated, have him cheat on her with, big mess, love triangles and all that shit, can't be arsed, waste of time. They're in California, and they find this symbol, and it's like a skull and snakes, and then you find out these cunts are called the Rattlers, and I'm like, who the fuck are the Rattlers? Well, they're the bad guys. They're new bad guys that they're kind of setting up for possibly a future title. Fucking hope so. So Abby is in search of the Fireflies down in Santa Barbara because I've heard that they're regrouping. Fine, cool. Then they find the place they're looking for, and they go in and they stoat downstairs, and there is what appears to be a barracks. And it's not been used in probably about 6 months, maybe longer than that, because it's all dusty and, you know, all fusty and smells of shite. And Abby's like, oh, this is definitely a barracks. Look at the way this is set up. Nah, it's a good looking me barracks. Maybe get 12, 13 people in there at the one time, and there's showers, and Lev's like, who's that? It's a shower, you wee cunt. Stop asking stupid fucking questions and help me find these bobacks. So, wee Lev's like, fuck you then, you moody-faced cow. This time Abby's lost some of her muscle mass. So, that should please you. No? No. And they're like, they find a radio and they put the power on, and they're like, fuck's sake. There's nobody there, and she tries for minutes, and then a voice appears. Boom, right away. But by this point, Abby's like, I'm Abby, and I'm with the Fireflies. You've just played your horn, hen. You don't know who you're talking to. How could you be so fucking stupid and careless? That was my thought, and I thought, it's just going to go tits up. And do you know what? It does. They head back at the house after thinking they're talking to the Fireflies, or really talking to these Rattler bastards. And they go out the house and they get a fucking pasting. Abby gets a fucking doing. You should have taken those supplements when you had the chance, and you should have kept those arms up, because you'd have punched fuck out that fat dick. But no, they get the better of them and they get kidnapped, and then Ellie's fucking swanning off after them and finds their boat, which is on the beach, and then yada 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 makes a complete cunt of it herself, if I'm being perfectly honest. Obviously gotten soft on her, you know, young age. Been a grand total of, what, 20 by this point? And she gets fucking whapped into a trap and gets stabbed. Now, the size of the stab wound and the depth that tree branch went into her back, She should have been fucking dead. And you're like, but she wakes up hours later and you're like, how are you no dead? But they look at the cut, sort of, she's walking towards, after killing the dickheads that got Abby in that, I think it's like 6 months. She's like fucking fidgeting with the wound, and it looks like it's like healed up quick, so I don't know if these cordyceps bastards have got like super healing, or if she's mutating, and she's like Wolverine now for some reason. Doesn't matter. You rip through this complex to find Abby, and I ripped fucking through it. By the way, I was not giving a fuck. I was like, see you dead, and you get a nice wee MP3? No, MP5, but it's silenced. But you only get about 22 bullets for it at a time, so I'm constantly running out, but it's fun to just go and watch all these people just go, oh, fucking run about with like their heads are on fire. Brilliant. And here's some nice wee gameplay moments that have changed up the gameplay, just that wee bit at the end. You'll find that the rattler pricks have captured like clickers and normal infected, and they've chained them up, so if you sneak around enough you can actually let these bastards go and run rampant. Brilliant fun, highly recommend it. Still made an arse and I still get killed about 1,000,000 times. So you batter through to the end of this place and you find all these prisoners, and Ellie's like, who the fuck's Abby? Well, she was put down at the pillars. What the fuck's that going to talk like I know what's going on? Don't just assume, I've just shown up, you dick. They see Ellie's got a bite marker on, they go, you fucking cow, fucking shooter, she's bitten. Can we just move on for this now, please? Can we? Get the thoughts in line here, Craggs. So she goes and finds Abby, and she's a fucking mess. I didn't even recognise her because I've cut all her hair off. So all these lovely wee braids and the blonde hair, gone, fuck you. She looks like the Wicked Witch of the West and East at the same time. So Ellie's like, oh fuck, this is not how I pictured this. Not at all. And then fucking cuts her down. And then she's like, oh, live, you bastard. Because he's been strung up and all because they both tried to escape and they get fucking lynched. And then so Abby's looking at sort of side-eyeing Ellie as if to say, you're going to fucking do something, you fucking prick. And they go down to these boats. There's just 2 boats magically, perfectly there. Just 2, not 5, not 6, not 10, 2. And Abby and Lev head off for one boat and Ellie heads off for another boat. Then she gets a flashback of Joel, and this is where I'm like, are you fucking serious? She's like, I'm going to kill this bitch. You're like, are you still... Oh, obviously you're going to be angry about it, but come on, have a bit of context. Joel did fucking kill her dad. What would you have done? What would you have fucking done? Just what you're doing now, actually. So she's like, I can't let you leave, and Abby's like, look, Hen, I've been fucking strung up for about 6 months on a pole. I've got the fucking waist the size of a fucking twig. I can't fight naked. I'm like, I'm surprised she didn't just fucking collapse outright when she got to that boat. Boom, fuck you. But no, they start fighting, and I'm like, there's something wrong about this. Surely Abby's suffered enough. Seeing the state that she's in, you're like, holy fuck. I mean, I would never have reckoned. I could walk right by her and I'm like, who the fuck's that? Total mess, and then Ellie tries to drown her. You know, and almost succeeds, but has another flashback of when Joel was less of a prick. So Ellie turned into this savage badass who would fucking, defend her friends, just into this cruel, sadistic murderer. And I thought, I don't like this angle they took with her. I think it was a wee bit over the top personally. What I would have preferred to have seen happen in that scene is Ellie goes to find Abby, does all that, blah blah blah, kills all those slavers, finds her and goes, oh, maybe she has suffered enough. Because she's a fucking state, beaten, raped, probably, fucking you name it, everything gone. But no, still wants that revenge. And you're like, something wrong with you, Dina's right, you're a fucking idiot. A fucking nutter. That's cool, because that's the whole story arc they wanted to tell. And if it wasn't for Ellie going for Abby, she would have been dead anyway, so... But it was just that last 5 minutes where there's another boss fight, and I'm just like, I really don't want to participate in this. I wish I could just go, drop the knife, had enough, get my fucking headset on with my wee fucking microphone, say, hey, fuck you too, but... Watch them shite themselves. Oh, who's that talking? It's God, you pricks. Overall, though, it was a good ending. It probably felt a little forced, but I understand why they did it. I just wish they hadn't. I made them fight at the end because it just felt a little. Nah, it just has to sit right with me. Just don't like it. So I hope we get a third one. We should, because Abby and Lev are still alive. It wasn't so much people are like that fucking. Well, Ellie found Abby, then tried to kill her and decided not to at the last minute. But you need to understand the state of Abby. You're like, fuck. Look at you. You look like a fucking... I don't even know if I can say what I want to say, but she looked like some sort of, like, war camp survivor. Or victim, I should say. Very powerful stuff, I have to say. This is a game it's stuck with me since I finished it, and I want to go right back into it, but I'm like, do I really want to go right back into it? Because I've just finished it, I've spent about 30 hours. I do want to go right back into it, but I'm now thinking of a sequel. What could a sequel be? Well, personally, I'd like to see Ellie become some sort of bounty hunter, righting the wrongs of the sicko people that live in the world. It's not the infected, you're not angry at the infected, they're just doing what comes naturally, but it's these people that prey on others. Those are the ones you want to be taken out. Being able to use the infected as a weapon, but that turns it into Days Gone. And basically what I'm describing here is just Days Gone. But I'd like to see it go open world. I'd like to see it Last of Us 3. Like, you have to maybe prop up defences or build up your own wee camp. Try and find the love of your last 10 minutes. Dean with her Wayne. She'll have went back to fucking Jackson, no doubt. Abby bites off two of Ellie's fingers so she can no longer play the guitar. So I'd like to see her with a cool sort of fucking like a brace to give her fingers back. But instead of it being normal fingers, they're like fucking interchangeable, so you can get like a lockpick in one and a blade in the other. Turn herself into Freddy Krueger. I mean, that'd be cool. Have like a sort of have like a save mechanic where if you get grappled by a human or a clicker, you can stab them in the eye. It'll not kill them, but it'll just shake them off you. Then later on you could like have it like a shotgun finger. I don't know, like a mini rocket launcher finger. Like, fuck this. Bit over the top, but you get my point. Anyway, I've rambled on enough pish about the ending, almost as long as the fucking review itself, but I just loved this game, and I thought I'd like to see more positivity set towards it. With whatever happened with Naughty Dog and the DMCA nonsense, no, I don't agree with any of that shit. Their actions off the game table have been abhorrent. I'm not going to deny that, but I really loved the game, and I'm not going to deny that either. So, live with it or don't. Totally up to you, I don't care which. This is Craggs, signing out. Adios.
Sweet Jesus.
Doctor? What are you doing in here? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
I come before you all today to talk about The Last of Us Part Uno. The probably most needless remake I've ever come across, but I am such a fan of The Last of Us that I did eventually cave to my own pressure and bought the damn thing. Didn't pay full price for it. No. But I did buy it, so here we are, like a bunch of reprobate arseholes that we are. And I really am speaking about myself, but yeah, there you go. So what they've done here is they've taken the original game and they've sort of made it look more like the second game, which I still think the second game looks a bit better, looks a bit brighter. First game is a better game, but the second game is a better looking game, even though it's been remade to look like as par with the second game, which is fine. I mean, it's a fine thing. It could have been an update, a free update, not a £70 mega shell out nonsense piece, or even had it been like what the Nathan Drake remastered pack was, which was Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. It released at $40, so I don't know why they didn't just do that. That released at $40 and was 2 games. You could argue that, okay, it's got Left Behind in it, but it didn't have any of the multiplayer like the remastered package, so it was a lesser package in that respect. It did add a model viewer and various other, little quality of life things. There was still quite a few glitches, mostly just graphical, and they only lasted a nanosecond, but they were still there nonetheless, There's been some accessibility things put in here as well, cheats and whatnot. I've not really explored that though, because I don't really cheat in games, although I am doing it with my second playthrough of The Last of Us 2. I've got like a slow-mo thing on whenever you aim a gun and it just goes down to bullet time, so I can pick my headshots and try and save ammo. Hadn't really worked, died a few times, still shite at the game, so there you go. Surprise, surprise, Me being crap at games, I should really just change my name to that shite game player, but I don't think the word shite would go over too well with the old algorithm in the title. You know, they might just bury me like they already have. So, yeah, I'm hoping for a Last of Us 3 some point in the near future. I think that might be clutching at straws, but you never know. There's going to be a factions multiplayer this year, apparently. I don't really give a toss about that. It'll be free to play, probably Battle Royale, with about 1 million microtransactions stuffed up its arse like the rotten Christmas turkey that it will be. So I just want another single player Last of Us game. I don't want it to be the last of Us game. I think we should have a few prequels. Because like I said, between the prologue and the main game of the first one, there's 20 years worth of history we could explore. You could get a Joel and Tommy trilogy about how they became bastards. And then how Tommy was like, I'm not going to be a bastard anymore, bye, you're a dick, Joel, bye. We could have, have it set in another state, have it set in another country, have a Last of Us UK in London, or you could just watch The Girl with All the Gifts, and that's pretty much what that is. Except they don't turn into cordyceps, mushroom, zombie, clicker, bloater things. They just turn into ravenous beasts that go into some sort of shutdown mode when there's no stimulation to cause them to go mental. But it's a great movie. Oh man, that's a great movie. Get it watched. If you haven't, what's happening to you? Watch it! Anyway, I like this version of The Last of Us. It's good. If you want to play it again, get more trophies, whatever the reason may be, batter in. But if you've got the remastered one and you don't really feel like doing it all again, you're not really missing out on that much. It's got a photo mode. I should have mentioned that, but I think Remaster's got a photo mode as well. Apparently this one's reworked, but I still think it's a bit basic. It's okay for what it is, but could have been better. So, that's it. That's your review of The Last of Us Part 1. It's kind of like going from Blu-ray to 4K, if you know what I mean. The differences are there, but they are minimal. Thank you, and good night. Okay then, okay. What do you say? You say, Jobby. And now I'm going to talk about The Last of Us TV series, Series 1, 9 episodes, HBO, shown in Sky Atlantic in the UK. What day I think it. Going for the beginning right to the end, so as they say in the trade, spoilers! That's your only warning. Right, going for episode 1 to 9. 1 and 2, they're pretty close to the games, I have to say. I think these two are my favourites. So the first episode is about an hour and 20 minutes long. There are minor changes to the story. There are more explanations to, how the virus was spread wide in such a huge area overnight. It's because of an infected wheat product, and everybody was eating pancakes. But you see that Joel and his brother and his daughter didn't eat pancakes in the morning and refused cakes and biscuits for people throughout the episode. So they didn't turn. That's how. Quite clever, actually. Never noticed it in my first viewing, but aye. They've changed how the actual fungus works, or fungi. Went to the party because it was a fun guy. Oh, Jesus. Well, there's dad jokes in the actual series and game, so I can get away with that, right? It's no longer spore-based, but it's now tendril-based, that's fine, I didn't really mind. There's a hive mind now that if you touch one of the wee leeches, lurcher things on the floor, that you can give away your position to the cordyceps horde up to a mile away. But that's a bit more tricky, I think, because I'm sure there's bits where they do stand in fucking tendrils and nothing happens, and then all of a sudden something does happen. I don't know, it's a bit all over the place for me, that. But yeah, it's a fine change. I wasn't too sure about Pedro playing Joel. I liked him in the first couple of episodes, but as the series went on, I was less enamoured with his performance. I'm sorry, Pedro, but I don't know if it's you or if it's the writing, but they just made Joel a wee bit too soft. He was like the normal Joel up to the end of the second episode, then he went a bit soft, and he's stayed soft. And then it's just... the clicker scene in episode 2, though, was really good. That was excellent. And unfortunately, that's the only clickers you see in the entire fucking series. I'm not happy about the lack of infected going from about episode 5 onwards. There's plenty infected in episode 1 and 2. Number 3, there's one infected, and I'll have a rant about episode 3 in a minute. Episode 4, there's no infected. There's a hint of infected, but there actually isn't any. There's an infected fight at the end of episode 5 that lasts about 5 minutes, and then it's just a singular infected once or twice the rest of the series. I'm like, what the fuck? Yes, we're in this really dangerous situation, we're told. Everybody that you meet is like, don't go out west, it's too dangerous, it's too thick with infected. Where the fuck are they then? Where are they? Sorry, I'm not happy. I'm not happy about this. Better fucking sort it for series 2, or that'll be all for me, thank you. I wonder if we'll get a Joel in 1. I think they'll change that, personally. Anyway, episode 3 is Bill and Frank's episode. It starts off pretty good. You get to get a bit more world building right at the start, but Ellie and Joel aren't really in this episode much. 5 minutes, maybe, of an hour and 20-minute episode. Which is a very bizarre thing to do that early on in your series when you're trying to establish these characters. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Although I do really enjoy Bella's performance as Ellie. She's good. She's sassy and cheeky in mostly all the right ways. Not quite, but mostly. Anyway, back to this episode, so it's just a big love story. What I really expected from The Last of Us was, you know, a fight for survival in a dangerous world, fighting against mushroom zombies and deranged psychopaths. And what we got for an hour and 20 minutes in the third episodes was a deranged prepper and 2 guys kissing in front of a strawberry field patch. Not what I wanted. It's just, it's too long an episode for that geek. There's just not enough world building going on. It's a love story, and I'm sorry it comes too early and destroys the pacing of the rest of the series. Now Joel and what's her face, Tess, are in this. Tess does die in the same way in the second episode as she does in the game, which again I was disappointed with that. I thought they could have changed it a wee bit, but no, she just snuffs it again. I suppose it's closer to the game, closest to the game. Only this time in episode 2 it's not Fedra forces that kill her, it's just Cordyceps Horde, because they trigger one for some reason. So they meet up with Bill and Frank, and Bill's like, get the fuck out my house, has a gun on the table. Joel's like, get that gun out my fucking face, you dick. Then Joel's like, you're going to be tested by raiders at some point, mate. This whole thing's not going to hold. Can't do all this on your own. Strange coming for Joel, you know, it's like, biggest loner out there, only really goes about with one other person, and for, well, 2 people, 20 years, brother, Tess, that's it. Then that night they have an attack of the raiders, and it's like, they don't even try, they just all get fucking set alight, they burst into flames, and then Bill comes running out his house, stands in the middle of the road, no cover whatsoever, and just starts picking folk off with a fucking sniper rifle. It's like, why are you not in your house? Why are you not in some form of cover, like at the side of a building? Or no, just stand right out in the open. Then he gets shot, and we're all really surprised when that happens. Frank drags him back into the house, and it actually looks, and they make it look like Bill dies, but he doesn't. Turns out Frank's got cancer. This is 10 years later, Frank's got cancer, and they both decide to top themselves with wine and painkillers. Aye, very good, but I was kind of hoping a bit more from Bill, because the game, you know, he's a really grumpy bastard in the game. His partner fucking hates him and tries to run away from him, getting killed in the process, and there's a lot of banter between him and Ellie and Joel, which I was actually really fucking looking forward to. But it didn't happen. I didn't actually mind the change between him and Frank. That was quite good. It was quite nice. But again, it's a bit out of place, I think. I know we need optimism in desperate times. And fucking hell, won't you fuck, will you? It's just a lovey-dovey. It's like Coronation Street and zombies, do you know what I mean? Or EastEnders, or Emmerdale and zombies. And there's like, well, we have zombies in our zombie show. Nah, let's not bother our bum cheeks with that. Fuck's sake. And it gets to episode 4 and 5, which could really have been condensed into the one episode. Joel only kills one person and then gets done in after some random skinny bastard. And then Ellie has to save him. That happens in the game, but it's different. And I'm like, Joel, you're just such a fucking useless bastard. She might as well just be fucking taking herself across the fucking country for all fucking use you are. There is a nice wee shot of a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade game in the show. I like that, rather than this fucking make-believe pish they made for the game. Show, game, show. I'm getting confused here, right? Yeah, then you meet up with, was it Henry and Sam in episode 4, right at the end. I think they made him a wee bit too young. And Henry's deaf for some fucking reason. Maybe they needed their woke points, their quota. Oh, we've got a white lassie, a Spanish-looking guy, and 2 black kids. Let's make one of them deaf, so we've got you get the whole ensemble there, do you know what I mean? Anyway, so, and then episode 5 is the inhabitants of the city looking for fucking Sam and whatever his cunty fucking name is. I can't be arsed because they die no long after that. And then you've got, remember the bit in the game, if you've played the game, where you get to just coming up to leaving that city and they're chasing you with a Humvee, and then you need to sneak through, take out the sniper, then snipe the rest of them, then snipe a bunch of infected. Well, you've got this sort of in this episode, sort of, and then the bloater shows up, and then you see the voice actor of Tommy in the game, who's playing a character in the show, get killed, he gets his head ripped off by the bloater. Then you don't see any more bloaters either, and I'm like, okay, the bloater looked pretty cool, but you could tell it was pure CGI, but I don't think there was any other way you could really have done that, you know. But it's like, and that's your last big infected showdown in the entire series. I'm not joking, and I'm not too pleased about it. Episode after that, they find Tommy and his wife. I can't remember the wife's name, never mind. And they sniff out infected people with a dog, and then it's actually quite a tense moment. It's good, and then it's like it's going to sniff Ellie out, and she's going to get mauled to death by a dog. You're like, that's not going to fucking happen. But you know, for a split second, you're just, I wasn't quite sure. Then it turns around, and the dog's licking her face and kissing her, and she's laughing, and it's all good. And they all go back to Jackson, and they all get scran. And this is where I think Ellie's character falls apart a wee bit. She's been sassy and funny up to this point. Now she's just a downright bastard. And it's just like, you're like, what the fuck happened to you? You were happy with the dog 2 fucking seconds ago. Now you're just treating everybody like a complete fucking arsehole. It's just weird. And then Joel has a breakdown, and I'm like, what is this? Where's the Joel for the games? What's going on? He's just pissed himself. I know they want to do different things, but I think they fucking mess with Joel too much. And yeah, not really all that impressed. I'd maybe correct that for the second series, make him into the bad arse he is, and then kill him. Go Team Golf Club. Then you find out that Tommy's wife's pregnant, blah, fucking blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'm not going to take Ellie off your hands, you're doing it yourself. And then they have the wee blowout that they have in the game, only they don't leave Jackson to do that. Fine, pacing, no problem. Changes like that are fine. Then they do eventually leave and go to the university where they see the monkeys. And there's no infected here either, oh, fuck's sake. They find out the Fireflies have fucked off for whatever reason, and then the bad guys show up and Joe gets stabbed with a broken baseball bat, which is actually a bit more believable than what happens in the game, because he falls on rebar, you know, mate, and it punctures right through his gut. I mean, that guy is fucking dead. If he doesn't get a fucking, you know, a suture, a wee bit of a, you know, fucking sewing, I don't think you ever see that happen with Ellie. I don't think she's much of a seamstress either. So, in the game, yes, it is a video game, but if we want to go down a realistic route here, Joe would have died from that wound in the game because it was very severe. And it punctured right fucking through him, right through his gut. Aye, and there was a huge bleeding hole. He'd have died in fucking moments. Anyway, so it's a baseball bat in the series, which I like to change. They barely get away from them, and then I think it's the Left Behind episode after that, and they cut like most of the actual DLC out. It's just the Riley bits, and I was like, nah. Where's the tense bits with Ellie going through the mall with the clickers and the fucking bandits that they've just been chased by? Where's all that? Why is that not in here? So the Left Behind episode really should have been 2 episodes, but never mind. And then one infected shows up at the end of the Left Behind episode and bites both of them. And you're like, fuck's sake. In the game, they get chased by a horde of fucking infected, and Riley's shooting people, and Ellie's dodging people, and it's quite exciting, and it's none of it's in the show, and I'm like, fuck's sake. Then you meet up with David, who is astoundingly creepy in this. I really liked the guy that played the part of David, and his cannibal brethren. This is where you'll see Troy Baker, and I have to say, I'm sorry, Troy, but you were a bit flat. I'm not really impressed with your acting. Everyone's like, oh, he did such a fucking amazing job. Can we stop blowing the guy for 2 seconds and just tell the truth? He was dry. He really wasn't in it much, and had he no been in it, you wouldn't have fucking missed him. Okay? Let's just be honest. He's no very good! Okay! And then Ellie kills him with a meat cleaver, as you would. Why not, indeed? And then she just kills David and shows up, and Joel was like, oh, sweet wee lassie, I'm sorry you had to see that, and then they fuck off. And then it's the end of the series after that, and I'm just... Where are they, in fact? Where is this dangerous world I keep seeing? It's just full of twats, full of morons. Aye, so they get to the hospital in Wyoming, blah, blah, blah. There's no underground scene, no bus, no fucking river, no diving about, dodging rapids and killing bloaters, or clickers, or runners. In fact, there is no infected in this episode whatsoever. At least I don't think. No, I'm telling a lie. The start of the episode has got one infected in it, because this is Ashley Johnson's turn to take a wee bit of on-screen acting. She's far better. Like fucking night and day, brother. You know what I mean? It's like Troy was the dark side of the moon and she's the normal side of the moon. Do you know what I mean? She did a fantastic job as Ellie's ma. And she gets bitten just as she's giving birth to Ellie, but there's a wee bit of ambiguity whether the cord was cut in time. And I've seen things about, like, oh, if you get bit and you could chop their arm off and you can save them. That's apparently not true. So, like, if you get bit in the arm, it takes roughly about 3 or 4 seconds for that infection to get to your brain, because of the way the blood flow works. So, if you're bitten, you're fucked. So, she was bit in the leg, which is quite close to the area where the umbilical would be, I suppose. So, yeah, I can believe it. And this is what makes Ellie immune, is that she was bitten in utero, okay? And then given birth to, so she'd get the fungus in the brain and all that pish. And then go to the hospital, and the Fireflies find them with flash grenades, and that's basically it. The explanation for the vaccine, it's not actually a vaccine they're wanting to make. They want to take the cells from Ellie's brain and make a sort of a camouflage, like World War Z, the World War Z movie did that, which is quite a bit better, because, you know, Abby's father, being a doctor, a surgeon, a brain surgeon, probably should have known that fungus, there's no vaccine for a fungal infection. I don't know how basic that is. I know that would come under mycology, which is, yes. I'm assuming he would do basic stuff like that. I don't know about I don't know how it all works. I did it. I worked for the NHS in the UK, so, and I get taught that about mushrooms. Mushrooms! So he should probably have known that in the game, so it doesn't actually make any fucking sense. But they changed it for the show and made it make a bit more sense, so I actually quite like that. And then it just plays out like you think in the game. Shootout, kills everybody, saves Ellie, shoots Marlene dead, leaves. It's 42 minutes, it's probably the most rushed episode of all of them. Now, I can understand they weren't sure how people were going to receive this show, but I tell you something, see if they'd have changed up episode 3 a bit, made Bill a bit more Bill, maybe even have got the actor for the game to play Bill like they did with Marlene, The Marlene in the TV show is the Marlene in the game. Why didn't it do that with Bill as well? Because he's another minor character. Bill doesn't die in the game. He dies here, but doesn't die in the game. I'm not happy with what they did with Bill. Sorry. Don't care one way or the other. I'm not happy with what they did. Because he's still alive in the series. As far as we know, we don't see him in Last of Us Part 2, but as far as I'm concerned, still alive, still a nutcase, still living in that wee town. Maybe we'll see him in Last of Us 3. Maybe we should see him in Last of Us 3. Maybe he should be a protagonist in Last of Us 3. Like, he gets run out of his town and happens to find Jackson, and Ellie's like, look, I lost 2 fingers. Joel's did. And he'll be like, give a fuck about Joel. He didn't give a fuck about anybody but himself in the game. Which is, yeah, good fucking yes. I want to see that in the game a bit more. Or I want to see him in the game a bit more, I should say. So, as an adaptation, it's just okay. It's probably one of the better video game adaptations, but they cut too much out of it for my liking. Too many of the action scenes are gone needlessly, and they've just turned it into a soap opera for the most part, which is a bit disappointing, really. It'd be like, going to see a Resident Evil movie, and the first 5 minutes there's like a zombie battle, and then that's it for the rest of the fucking thing, and it's just them scurrying about in a dank underground bunker, trying to open doors and having arguments while shagging each other. Okay, that's what it'd be like. It would be shite. You wouldn't want to see it. So, I like this. I will get it in DVD. But I hope the second series just get more action scenes. Not that I was going to say I hope it's better, but I don't think this is a bad series. I just think it's a bit misplaced in areas, and things cut out that shouldn't have been cut out, things changed that shouldn't have been changed. But I do like most of the changes, apart from Bill and Joel being fucking wallopers. I do like a lot of the changes. It's good, and yeah, I do recommend you watch it if you're a fan of the game. And if you're not a fan of the game, yeah, give it a watch. You might actually prefer it, or like it more than I did, should we say. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and all that pish, and I'll see you in the next one.